All right, excited to have Mark Briggs on the podcast. Just won your 100th USL Championship W on Saturday. Congrats on that. Third coach in the history of the league to do that. So congratulations to you. That's fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You don't think about those things, so it was a nice little nice little touch to hear you on the mic after the game, and then
Did you not know?
Todd present me. I'd forgot about it, to be honest. Someone told me, Danny Cruz, actually the Louisville coach, messaged me and was like, "You're getting close to 100," but this was like a few weeks back, so I just forgot about it. And then obviously it was a nice touch after the game.
Well, we almost bumped you for Kieran after his performance Saturday. So
yeah, I know. It wasn't bad. Deserves to be bumped.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. We'll start there. You bring him on as a substitute on Saturday, his second game, first game at home, first chance for fans to see him in person. I mean, what a performance that was. Is it something you've been seeing from him in training and just finally got the opportunity to show it off in a game?
Yeah, obviously we do our homework, and I'd watched a lot of his games in England where he'd been on loan at various teams and knew what his capabilities was. He'd had a few injuries, so he hadn't quite got into a rhythm. We were able to bring him over here, and then I thought in the first game when he got on the field against Orange County, he was good. Like his first touch was outside of the boot, set back to Jack, and we nearly scored. So to have him off the bench on Saturday with another week's training, I felt like he could impact the game in a positive way. Now, I didn't think he was going to impact it in that much of a positive way, but
take credit for it, Coach. Come on.
But no, to be able to look at the bench and know you've got a player of that caliber, to come on and impact a game where we were struggling and not struggling, but we weren't quite at the races in the box. We weren't quite making the final pass. And then he comes on and, gets us 3 points, essentially.
It was kind of a grinded-out win for you guys because there's middle part of the game there after they equalized where you could make the case, they were keeping possession for a decent amount of time. You guys would try to, start your build-up, and either a deflection or an interception would happen. We go back the other way, and then he comes in and it was like
they're a very good
change.
team.
Yeah.
They were, I know, half of our fans and different other people were expecting, we beat Loudon 4-0 last year, we beat them away. 2 years ago, we beat them away last year 2-1. But they've changed, and they play a really unconventional system where it's almost a 4-2-2-2. And so there's just complete overload central, and they play so compact and so tight, and we haven't faced that. And there was moments in the game where we struggled to handle it and struggled to figure out ways to solve the problems that they were causing. So, it was a difficult game, and for Kieran to come in and impact it the way he did was obviously brilliant for us.
Well, Kieran, not the only delight you've had at the striker position. Trevor Ammon has been fantastic to start the year. When you guys signed him, what were your expectations, and has he exceeded those expectations so far?
Look, when you sign a player who's playing in the league below, there's always that risk of, is he going to be able to handle it? Is he going to be able to do it at the next level? With Trevor, he's got so much potential, like just natural ability, natural skills, that we felt he will score goals, especially with the opportunities we create. Now he still has areas to work on, and he still has to improve his game, but I think Trevor can play at the next level. He's just got to keep on the path he's on, and he's got to keep working hard on a daily basis and improve his weaknesses, and we're fortunate to have him.
What do you think of his nickname, Mr. Saturday?
I think it's brilliant.
Is he is he truly a different guy on Saturdays, you think?
Yeah, it's excuse me. It comes from, it's a little bit of banter with the guys, obviously. Sure. That he turns up on a Saturday and does the business. But that's kind of the way he is, right? He's quiet, keeps himself to himself and doesn't necessarily say good morning to everyone sometimes, But he's just got to keep doing what he's doing. But his nicknames certainly speaks volumes to our group, to be honest.
Yeah.
The closeness, the camaraderie between them, we have to have that.
I wanted to ask about, we talked about it before you started, is you now feels like you have a lot of different weapons in the attacking position from you have obviously Russell, who scored Saturday. You have Trevor, who's been fantastic. You have Kieran, who came in, played really well. Sebastian's getting back here soon. You have Pirano. You have all these different guys you can put. I feel like this is the most weapons you've ever had in your tenure here in Sacramento. You feel like
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Not even close. Okay, that's why I
There's
felt
been
like
times where you look at the bench and you're kind of like, how am I going to impact this game?
Yeah.
You know, so to have Trevor, you know, firing, to have Russell score again on Saturday and start to find a rhythm, to have Kieran start his tenure off with us the way he has, and then to have Sebastian coming back into it, while also Christian Pirano, Rafa Yaraghi, who's been fantastic, Roro. You know, we have a number of tools, but it is nice to be able to look at the bench and have a centre forward, possibly two in the next few weeks to impact games and change the direction of a game.
How does that impact your decision making into who starts and who doesn't? How do you balance that?
They have to earn that. They have to train well on a daily basis, and they have to produce on a Saturday or a Tuesday, whenever the game may be. But they have to make sure every day that they're there. Every day they're focused, because the competition's good. Like, if you're not performing and you haven't scored a couple of goals in a couple of games, all of a sudden Kieran comes on and he scores 2 goals. You've got to be at it every single day, and you've got to be at it every time you get a chance to perform, because that's what wins. That's what wins championships, and we're trying to win a championship. So you can't afford to take a day off. You can't afford to slack, because we have a roster where if you do slack, you're going to lose your spot.
How does that also change when you want to rotate, give player a week off, or, for instance, now with the Open Cup coming next week, now you have 3 games in 7 days or 8 days. How does that change that mentality? Do you then start to figure out, okay, do we want to use multiple guys? We don't want to wear guys out early on the season. How do you balance that as well?
I think you have to have a plan. You know, you have to have a plan and be a couple of weeks ahead. And we've already spoken about what we want to do in regards how we're going to do it and how we're going to make sure that we're fresh for each game. But that's obviously conversations with myself, Luke, the staff. But we want to be fresh for every game, because we want to go to Phoenix and get a result, and we want to play at home against Monterey in the Cup and get a result. Then we also want to go to Rhode Island to get results. Right. You know, I'm fortunate that I have a squad of players from 1 through 22 that can step on the field and play, step on the field and start, and the team won't miss a beat. So I'm fortunate to have that roster, and now they've just got to go out and execute when they get the opportunity to pull on the shirt and play.
Second straight year where you guys have had a really successful April. It seems like, compared to last year, same situation where April was kind of the month where you start to set yourselves apart from some other teams in the league. What is it about month 1 to month 2 this year where you feel like you guys have grown as a group, and now as we go into month 3?
Yeah, I feel like, look, we always place a big emphasis on getting off to a good start, getting off on the right foot. And the last 2 years we've been able to do that. I just feel we're better equipped this year. We're a more solid, a more together group, and I just feel like we're better equipped from the experiences we've had over the previous 2 years. If you look at the Open Cup, you look at the playoff run last year, and obviously losing to Phoenix, we're better equipped now and we have better experiences, and I feel we've improved our roster as well, which always helps.
Speaking of Phoenix, you go there this weekend for a big match. It's hard not to think about last year. I know it's a lot of different players, different coach, a lot of those different things, but is this another one of those games, kind of like when you guys went on the road to Orange County, where you want to make a little bit of a statement on the road down there?
I think every time we step on the field, we want to make a statement. I believe I've got the best team in the league, and I'm sure there's many other coaches in the league that think that same thing.
Yeah.
But for me, I think we have the best roster, we have the best team. We've been through a lot together, and that enables us to be in a more beneficial position than we have been in the past. But now we have to turn the screw, and we have to start thinking like a champion, start acting like a champion, and start believing not just in our locker room, not just in our front office, but in our community, because we have the ability to go all the way this year, and we have to start acting that way.
That also makes you set different expectations for yourself, right? So I'm thinking of 2 games specifically. You could make there's a case there's a third where you're probably thinking we should have got 3 points in these games, and yet with that, I'm thinking of the the opening night game against Orange County. I'm thinking of the Tulsa game a couple weeks ago. Does that mentality change? Like, those are games where you probably wanted to get 3. You probably felt like you earned 3.
We 100% should have got 3.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But now even with that, you're still in first place by, I think, a point. You're still playing well. It shows, I think, how good this team is, even with maybe they're not playing their best. Like we saw it on Saturday. You guys had to kind of grind out that game. You make a big sub, and then all of a sudden it's a 3-1 game. How does that impact you guys? How do you guys think about those things in the locker room?
You're very rarely at your best. Every time you step on the field, you're very rarely at
This is what I tell myself all the time.
You're very rarely at your maximum. You're very rarely at your best. So you have to find ways to be the best version of yourself on a bad day. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt on Saturday we found a way to win the game. And as a group, we've been working, for example, the Orange County game, like to allow a goalkeeper to score on us at the end of a game, to allow a set piece to be scored on us, was mental breakdowns, mental switching off, not being focused. So we've been, what's the other game? Tulsa, a game where we had, I think it was 25 shots, but we only had 4 on target. Again, that's a mental blockage. That's not being mentally focused.
Yeah.
What was the other game we tied? Indy 11.
Yeah.
Where we go on the road, really difficult place to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, a point was great, but we should have got 3.
Yeah.
And again, there was little mental focuses in those games. So it's not like, look, I respect every opponent we play and all the opposition players and staff and so forth, but it's ourselves. We have to focus on what we do. We have to continue to grow and build our process. And we have to block out these little mental blockages, these little mental errors. And by doing that and by focusing on not stopping, because a frustration of mine is we score a goal, we go ahead, we're in complete control of the game, we take our foot off the pedal.
Right.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
I ask the players this all the time. We have to continue to do what got us in that position. We have to continue to demoralize teams, to really step on their throat, so to speak.
I want to ask as well about the 15-second goal against Orange County. Drawn up, right? Can we talk about that a little bit? Was that
one hell of a team talker?
Yeah, I mean,
it's one hell of a team talker.
I think you get credit for the goal as much as Trevor and Rowe. Honestly, I mean, that's unbelievable.
No, I think they just, I could see it in the talk. I talked to the guys at the hotel before the game when we're on the road, and then I leave them alone a little bit in the locker room, and then right before they go out, I say my piece. But I could see when I spoke to them in the hotel, there was a focus. They were engaged that night. Now, I weren't expecting them to score after 15 seconds, but they were engaged, and I knew we weren't going to lose that game just by looking in their eyes.
So how do you try and recreate that every single game? Because that's probably the question you've been trying to figure out, right?
It's the goal, right?
But it's not that simple. And we've talked about that a lot on this podcast. Is you're managing personalities, you're managing people. You're trying to get the best out of them. Maybe certain guys aren't getting minutes and they're on the bench and they're starting to lose their confidence a little bit. All of those things, I would imagine, all come together at various points in time. How do you balance that going into matches?
It's really difficult because you take Orange County and then the game against Loudoun this week, right? All in the build-up to Orange County, it's 1 versus 2. It's the 2 best teams so far.
Right.
The focus, the engagement, the emotional focus it takes to then win that game, be on the complete ultimate high, right? We're in first place. We've just beat the team that's closest to us. Then to come down from that, go again the following week to an opponent that everyone was expecting us to take care of, to win, to beat. It's difficult, right? Just from an emotional standpoint, that emotional high to then come back and then rise again for a different opponent. It's difficult. And that's why I was so pleased that they found a way to get a result on Saturday night, because the emotional drains that they experienced last week was difficult for them.
Without you getting fined.
Yeah.
Just want to preface that. How do you... Let me try to word this correctly.
I'm interested I don't want to What's coming?
How do you now game plan, or maybe it's not even game plan, address the early yellow cards we've got in the last couple games?
I've tried to, honestly. This year, I felt last year I let too much of my focus or too much of my energy be on things that I can't control. I can't control the decisions referees make, but I can control my players putting themselves in the positions for the referee to make a call. So this year I've put a real emphasis on myself in not trying not to, get involved with the referees, with the fourth official. I think Martin's doing a fantastic job in helping me with that, because he's so calm and composed and been there and done it before. He's like, don't worry about it, Mark. And that just makes me switch back into mode. Wow. So I think that's a big help for me. And just really focusing my energy on the group of players that are on the field that can impact the result, rather than the referee and the decision he may make, whether that's a good decision or a bad decision. That energy is wasted, really. Yeah.
Interesting. I like that.
I'm glad you like that, Con.
Yeah. No,
that's kind of stumped you, huh?
Yeah. That was not the answer I was expecting. I don't even know where to go from here. Let's talk about some of the fun stuff here as we're getting close to 20 minutes. Have you talked to Coach Mike Brown recently? He's allowed to come to a game this year, right? That's the rule?
I feel like we have to get that off our backs a little bit, don't we?
Yeah.
So I feel I have spoke to Mike. We text back and forth this past weekend. I'm sure he'll come out to a game at some point. He's obviously taking a little bit of time right now with his family and grandson, and spending some time to have some time to himself after a grueling NBA season. Yeah.
I mean, you know what that's like after a long season, that breath of fresh air you can take a little bit and get some relaxation a little bit. Is that how you try to do in the off season, at least in the beginning, try and just completely disconnect?
You try, but it's impossible, you know, 'cause your brain's still constantly going.
Plus, with us, you have a signing in 2 days.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's it. But it's kind of like, and for it to end, like, you put so much work in throughout, and for them, they play like, how many games they play in the NBA season?
82 regular season.
Which is just wild. So like, they play 82 regular season games, and then for it to just end like that, it's difficult, you know. For us, the same last year with Phoenix, it's really difficult to let it go, you know, because it's just such a sudden boom, it's over. So I'm sure he's got experience with all of that, but it's difficult, and eventually you get to a point where you can let it go. That might be after a couple of days, that might be after a few weeks. I couldn't let the Phoenix game go for a long time, until I went to Hawaii on holiday with my family right before we started this season. And then I landed in Hawaii and I let it go. But
Hawaii has that
takes it, it has that impact. But you know, sometimes it's hard, and depends how Mike feels the season went, that game went, whatever it is.
Right. Wolves update. 11th right now. They play Man City, can play spoiler this weekend.
They could. They're not going to, though.
No.
They're
done.
You never know in the Premier League, but like Manchester City they've got their hands on the Premier League trophy again, right? They're right there. It's in their own hands.
Yeah.
And with Pep Guardiola and that group of players that have the experience, have the hunger to do it again. It's going to be really difficult for anyone else to get that.
Did you see the new cap they're talking about implementing? There's like basically like a salary cap they're talking about.
In the Premier League?
In the Premier League. I read something yesterday.
Interesting.
Granted, I'll be honest, I didn't read much. But I read that the 3 teams that voted against it were Man United, Man City, and Aston Villa.
Aston Villa, huh?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
That could be. That'd be interesting. What happens with all the? Cause there's a lot of monetary stuff going on with the Premier League right now.
Right.
Everton were docked. Forest were docked. Man City have been on this investigation for how long?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting what unfolds with all of that.
What do the Wolves need to do in the offseason? What do they need to address in the transfer window?
They need to keep their players fit. They got into the European spots, and then they've had their whole bench has been the academy. Like, how does a Premier League team have just academy players on the bench when they spend millions and millions? So something needs to be addressed, internally, because you can't. There needs to be questions asked.
Right.
From a training standpoint, from a players they're signing standpoint, there's got to be different things addressed there.
You got any targets in mind?
Not off the top of my head, no.
No.
We need a striker. We need an out-and-out goal scorer. We need, we've got Trevor, Kieran, Sebastian. We need somebody like that who are just going to score goals.
Right.
And Russell, of course.
Yeah. Well, that was good. Let's go back to that, because I wanted to ask about that, because you have Russell, who was a proven goal scorer last year, Trevor, who's proven he's a goal scorer this year. So you have all these guys. They're different types of players, but how do you figure out who works best with who? How do you try and use guys who complement each other well, and specifically when that front 3 group?
Yeah, I think it's we have good players first and foremost. They're good, talented players. And I think when we're building the roster, those are things we look at, right?
Sure.
We don't just say, oh, let's sign Trevor, a man, and then he's never going to be able to play with Roro or Russell or Christian or whoever, Rafa or whoever else we put up there. So first and foremost, you take that into consideration when does Trevor attributes complement what we're looking for in our group to improve?
So you're doing that before you even sign him?
Yeah, for sure. So in the off season, that's one of the things that we look at. And then obviously once you get them in market, you want to have them work together on a daily basis, have them understand, first and foremost, have clarity in what I want from them, from an individual perspective and from a group perspective. Because clarity allows them to go and perform. Clarity allows them to have that confidence to go and play. Mm-hmm. And then it's just repetition of training together, repetition of playing together, understanding. If Roro gets the ball in a certain area, then I need to have a player here. I need to have a player here. Do you know what I mean? There's different domino effects, and Russell, Jack, all the other players, understanding that when the ball's in a certain area, we need to have an option in A, B, C, and D.
Right. What do you do to transition some of the new guys in? How do you get them acclimated with the team? Specifically, I'm thinking Kieran, who came in, didn't have the training camp with you guys, but came in a little bit later. How do you get that guy? How do you get him acclimated quickly with the team to where he feels he can go and make an impact quickly?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's about the personality of the player, the excitement of the player coming in. Kieran was like buzzing to get here, like excited to get here. He got here and he's just threw himself into the group. And I think when you act that way, our group are great. And then once you get into the dressing room, into the locker room, they're like, wow, it's a good group of guys. Mm-hmm. And they welcome him, but the attitude to be a part of it, the attitude, I want to be here, guys, and I'm going to help you, also helps with your settling, you're feeling at home, you're feeling comfortable, and that's what Kieran, the example that you use there, Kieran's thrown himself into the club, into the team, and he's been extremely positive about, everything.
I thought the 2 goals for Kieran was good for many reasons, and I'll say the one that I didn't mention earlier was great for Kevin Nagel, because good to see a Huddersfield loan come over and score, especially after the unfortunate in the morning. But glad to see him. You could see him. I saw him come up, and he was excited to celebrate that with you. What did he say to you after your 100th win?
Yeah, he was on the. He was pretty much sitting as one of the staff members on the bench. I turned around and was like. But he was obviously excited, and I think, like, look, we're fortunate to have an owner who's so passionate about, so passionate about the team, so passionate about the city, and so passionate about winning. And I'm sure Huddersfield will, experience that as his time evolves there. But he just said, "Thanks for cheering me up. The first part of my day wasn't great, so I really needed that."
Yeah.
And just obviously said congratulations. So no, I think it's good, and it's a start of that's how a partnership should be. We're fortunate to have a partnership that plays at a really high level, a great level, and for whether it be younger players, whether it be players like Kieran, whether it be older players, that relationship I'm sure will flourish and grow as the years go by.
Last thing before we let you go, we heard there was a technical staff pickleball tournament.
There was.
How did you do?
I finished second.
Oh, who'd you lose to?
Who'd you think?
Todd?
It was the final game was a little bit fixed though.
It doesn't surprise me with Todd.
Yeah.
You never know.
He had Andre as a partner.
Oh.
Who's Sacramento's pickleball king, apparently. That's what I'm told. Although I hear Ariana is also a pickleball queen.
So hang on a second. But Andre wasn't in the tournament, or he?
No, he was in the tournament, but he had a bad day. He had an off day, apparently.
But then he got revenge against you?
But he managed to get into the final, and that was Todd's partner against me and Bradley.
Wow. Who was the worst player?
Oh, gosh.
Luke.
No, Luke was all right.
Yeah?
Luke was all right, yeah. He wasn't too bad. I'm going to have to... It's a toss-up between Dave Redman, our trainer, athletic trainer, and Rodrigo Hernandez, our kitman. They were horrific. Like, horrific. So there's area of improvement for those guys. Sorry, guys.
I think they probably know.
They know.
Frustrating to lose to Todd, right?
A little. It's a little competitive.
Do you remember when we had the futsal tournament a couple years ago?
Yeah.
There was nothing better than beating Todd. Great, and I was on the winning team, not by anything I did by any means. We had Philip in goal, who's in a small goal. He's a great goalie. That was the key. But yeah, beating Todd was unbelievable. I played him in ping pong in here one time, just randomly. Didn't know it. I played ping pong a lot as a kid.
Right.
And I was like, I'm gonna smoke him. And he comes in and he's like, unbelievable. I'm like, what the?
So there's probably ping pong tables in the dressing rooms. We were 1 for 1 last week though, because we went into Folsom Prison, and Todd stacked his team.
I heard.
Yeah, but we managed to, myself, Emil, and Kevin Burdick, managed to beat Todd, Andre, and Bradley.
Oh.
And obviously they're prisoners on that team.
Yeah.
So I guess it was 1 for 1 that week.
All right.
Because we won in Folsom Prison.
Yeah, that's that.
It's a bit more of a statement, right?
Yeah, right. 100%. That's definitely more important. All right. I asked you before we started. We've been asking people to bring a question. What you got? Anything for me?
From Saturday's game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What decisions would you change that I made?
That you made? I would have yelled at the official on the first yellow card. Well, I'll tell you a decision that I made wrong. We got the new milk and the clock thing this year that we're having a good time with.
I like that, I like that.
Thank you.
It's a good move.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm waiting for the league to tell us we can't do it. But they shouldn't. But we did it, and then the guy was actually injured and came out, so that was bad on me.
So you felt bad.
I felt real bad. But then I think he just got stepped on. I don't think it was like an actual.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Yeah. Head injuries, you got to be careful.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Yeah, I would have yelled at the referee on the yellow card.
None of my tactical decisions. Would you change any? Would you agree with them? Would you have changed any? Would you have made different subs?
What? There's no win for me here.
No, I know. But everyone has an opinion on what I do, so I want your opinion.
I actually don't have an opinion.
I like that.
I don't have an opinion at all. I really don't. I will say, I will ask you this. I've been thinking about, okay, now we haven't seen Shane get a lot of minutes, I know, but you've brought him in different positions. Ricketts has been playing couple different positions. Does that help them get more confidence? Like, I know Ricketts, you've kind of had to do it out of necessity. I guess Shane, you brought him in. I think it was the Tulsa game, put him up top.
Orange County had to come in and, like Lee obviously went down early doors, and he had to come in and he stepped in as if he'd played every game. And I think my message to the group after Saturday's game actually was, this isn't a team game of 11 players. Like, this is a squad of 22 players, and every player is going to play their role and find their role within the group. Now, Shane's a difficult one because, look, Shane played extremely well last year, was part of the best back line in the league. But we also have Lee Desmond, who was in and out of the team last year, and Lee had a fantastic pre-season. Lee's the captain, and, I think we've got 5 centre-backs who would probably walk into any team, Chibi included, because Chibi's very, very good. Yeah. So we've just got to, look, it's my job to make sure that the players are happy and the players understand their roles and their responsibilities, and they're in a good headspace when they get the opportunity to step on the field. But Shane in particular has been the ultimate professional. Every day he's there at training, every day he's giving everything, and I think you see that when he steps on the field, because if you look at, he got thrown into the Orange County game, performed like he'd been there all year, and then he comes on Saturday and he's in a different position. He's in front of the back line, then he's in his normal position. But I think all the substitutes, if you look at our games so far this year, every game, apart from one game I didn't feel we impacted how we should, but 7 of the 8 games, the subs have made a really positive impact on the performance, which is what you want as a group, as a collective. They've come in and impacted the game in a really positive way. Yeah. So we just have to keep doing that. And from my perspective, I understand that any player can be in the 11 and the team won't miss a heartbeat. Right. So we just have to keep going down this path and keep making sure everyone understands that the team, the collective, the squad is the most important thing.
Yeah, the Shane one is the one I've been thinking about a lot, because I was like, every time he comes in, he's been so good, and then at the same time, you kind of feel bad for him of like, what does he have to do? But at the same time, what are you supposed to do? The other guy, the group is playing so well.
It's a difficult decision, you know. And I have to, ultimately, when the players come in on pre-season day 1, last year's forgotten. Right. The past is the past, If we live in the past, we never move forward. Mm-hmm. So they have to think, okay, it's a new season. I've got to earn my spot again. Yeah. I've got to be the best I can be again. And I think if that's the mindset, you give yourself a chance. And for me, I had to make a decision based on what I saw in pre-season.
I like that you asked me to critique you after a 3-1 win.
Yeah, I know. You can critique a bad game. We haven't lost yet, though, so.
There you go.
I'm in a good spot at the moment.
I actually don't critique. I try not to. If I do, I'll be like, I'll be interested to see what Mark does going forward. That's what I try. Not that that's a critique, but that's what I should. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, no, look, in my job.
On the team podcast, you want me to rip the head coach?
It's a very.
I think there might not be a podcast the next week if that's the case. There are fans who are like, "You're really," I'm like, "Okay, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
This maybe not be the right. Maybe not the right podcast. You can start your own. You can rip whoever you want. Yeah,
that's it. But no, I'm winding you up, obviously.
Yeah. I gotta have Jared Mazzola on. Yeah, he is hilarious.
Yeah, Jared's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Very good goalkeeper, but very funny. Big personality.
He's hilarious. Yeah. No, I know.
And I think that's our group this year. There's a lot of personalities, but a lot of positive energy. There's no negativity. Everyone's in a positive frame of mind. Yeah. Everyone's positive about whatever it is we're doing. And when you have that, it allows you to have a really good culture.
What does Connor Donovan have to do to score a goal this year?
Connor Donovan.
I talked to him on Saturday about it. He's like,
to be fair, I always give him a lot of stick, but on Saturday he actually headed it away from the goalkeeper. instead of at the goalkeeper.
It's true.
And the goalkeeper made a great save.
Yeah.
So I know he's your podcast buddy, so I won't give him too much.
I know everybody thinks,
grief.
hey, Connor's he hasn't been on in a while.
He hasn't. I think you've upset him.
I haven't upset. I've asked him. Maybe I did upset him.
Yeah.
Maybe
Have
I did
you
something.
asked him about his white boots? White cleats?
No.
Yeah.
Do I need to?
Connor's got a pair of white cleats. Never thought I'd see the day, but he's got a pair of white cleats.
It doesn't seem like his.
It's not really Connor Donovan, huh?
No. I would expect to see him in those, like, old school Nike Air Monarchs that you see, like, 60 to 70-year-old men wearing.
That's it.
That's what I expect him to wear.
That's it. I can see that.
Yeah.
60 to 70 is a bit harsh, though, huh?
40 to 50. You're right. 60 to 70 is harsh. You're right. In fairness, Roro said that basically Connor's the oldest guy on the team. He's the.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, Mark. Well, thank you so much for joining us. 35 minutes, 36, pretty good for us.
There we go. Yeah, it is actually. It's short, sharp, sweet.
Short, sharp, sweet. That's right. Well, thank you. Congrats again on the 100th win. Well deserved, of course.
Thank you very much.
Making some history in the league. It's pretty awesome. So congrats. You deserve it.
Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.